You're inside of the Ena Esco Show on Magic 807, the sound of Black excellence. And guess what? We are continuing these amazing, insightful conversations here in the community of Memphis. And I have some gentlemen with me that are in the community, okay? I'm talking about my good friend, none other than award-winning podcaster. And now we can add filmmaker to his repertoire, none other than Dominic Lawson in the building with me. I also have Executive Director of Community Unity Council, Keedran Franklin. How are you, gentlemen?
We are well. We are well.
Yes, I'm wonderful. Thank you for joining me. I've had Dominic over here quite a bit at the Lowry Communication Center. I think this is my first time having you over here, not at Lemoyne. I've seen you on the campus of Lemoyne, but here in the Lowry Center. And I've always been a fan of the work that you do in the community, Keedran. And I'm trying to give you your flowers today, honey. Okay, because you deserve it. You definitely deserve it. I know that today we're going to have some conversations about a very timely project that you all put together. Dominic, you're now transitioning or still in the podcast space, but now entering into that film aspect of visuals and just this industry. Where are you with podcasting right now?
Still doing Black is America. Mental health rewritten's kind of on a hiatus a little bit, but no, I still love podcasting. Podcasting kind of got me in this part of storytelling. It's all storytelling.
It
It's just a
is.
different medium, right? And so now, just with filmmaking, it's allowing me to tell stories visually. Now, and this brother here allowed me to kind of work with him. It was one of the first film projects I've done, and so honored to do that with you. We've been in collaboration. We went to high school together,
I
right?
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What high school was that again?
Westwood.
Westwood.
Don't play with it. Don't play with it.
We all running together at Westwood.
So we knew each other, but Dominic
Right.
was always a few years older than us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Young, boisterous. I was always kind of all everywhere, right? And so we've always had a great relationship. I always looked at him like, that's big bro when I see him. So yeah, it was just, when he came, I'm like, man, it's one full circle, right?
Yeah.
Where we come from down in Westwood, 4480 Westmont.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But it's being seen all over the world as much as he's, seen all over podcasts that I organize all over the country, right? So to see like those worlds kind of evolve towards each other, like it was beautiful.
It was only a matter of time too, because he actually collaborated with my wife Kendra first before he collaborated with
Okay.
me. So I think it was only a matter of time. I also went to Westwood, by the way. So
Wow, Westwood in the building. And I'm loving how these two worlds are colliding right now. It's such a pivotal moment in
Yeah.
time. Like to be alive in 2026 entails a lot of things right now, okay? And I know you guys worked on this project called Restored Voice, which is really hitting on what's happening here in the city with redistricting, our voting rights. How did all of this come together?
it's interesting. I think I hit Keedran up at like midnight, like real talk. Like we can go and look at the thread. It was like midnight. I was like, because I knew he had his citywide voter restoration registration drive where he was going to different districts and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, man, let's put some cameras in the van and just kind of ride around and just kind of see this thing unfold. And so we hit him up on February 12th. The event was on February 15th. And then we put it out on May 4th, the day before the county mayor's race. And then obviously some other stuff kind of, transpired, which we'll get to, but that's kind of how it happened. And so to see, and I had always seen Keedran from the outskirts, right? Like seeing him work, seeing his seeing the progress he made, right? But I wanted to kind of see that inside the behind the doors kind of situation to kind of see what made him tick, how it worked, and stuff like that. And so that's kind of how it came to be.
Wow. So Restored Voice, it's a documentary that touches on democracy, redemption, civic engagement, criminal justice, and storytelling. And when you think about what's happening just in Memphis right now, Keedran, and your involvement in the community, what does activism and community engagement and involvement look like in Memphis right now?
Man, it's everywhere. It's a roller coaster, right?
Mm.
But partly for me, even with this film, because I am a restored boss. Like I caught a felony in 2018, 19, right? And so like that trajectory to figure out like how to get my voting rights back was it was interesting because I thought I could. I didn't know I could. And so just navigating knowing that like even when I was before I was a felon, right before I become a felon, just navigating like the woes of organizing around Memphis, which is it's a sometimes it's a slow trick because we consider it a progressive plantation. You have a lot of people who we see it, they see it, and it may impact them, but because of the lay of the land, they don't have the capacity to get out there and move, right? And so there's a lot of work left. And so, yeah, the reason, Dominique can hit me up at 12 and I can respond is because I'm up organizing late.
You a
Right.
night owl.
Oh yeah, and the early bird. So
And
like,
early.
so
That
I
sound
go,
like me.
yeah, so folks like, man, do you sleep? Well, again, 9 times out of 8, I'm organized. If you catch me, I'm like, whoops, strategize and put some things together. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, again, it's a beautiful train. People jump in, jump off, but we're in a space now where we have to think about longevity. What does the long game look like? And so when we decided to do the registration and restoration drive, it was based off of watching all of these, like when we have these races, like the primaries we just had, a lot of these politicians, they just go after like this bank of people who was already within the voting pool. They're not
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what was considered the apathetic vote, right? Or the disenfranchised vote, because, for them it'll cost more money to try to attract them into this process. And for me, it's like, well, you're gonna continue forgetting them until there's a larger group of people that you're forgetting about, right? And so I wanted to continue, like, I want to engage them to say, hey, there's a pocket of people that we're not thinking about, that y'all are not thinking about. But if we organize them, those are enough numbers to give us what we need to be able to do what we want to do, right? And so that was the idea of how do we go around and grab up those guys and gals who are just uninterested? How do we pique their interest to say, hey, this is a part of how we control what's going on. This is our stake in community. This is our voice to say, no, we don't agree with that. We want this. And because Robert's rules, majority rule, if there's more numbers on our end,
Yeah.
that's a plus for us. So, yeah, for me, it's just trying to figure out how to make sure what I leave behind for my son, right, and other children who have to come up behind us,
Yeah.
because there were people who didn't. A lot of people didn't do that. My generation, but we had to find ourselves fighting, and so
For sure.
it's not left back for us a blueprint to say, hey, here's how you do this. Here's
Mm-hmm.
how we deal with this, right? And so I want to leave it better off for his generation.
Yes, yes. Now, I just had a few students from Lemoyne here for a meeting, and I know that their demographic, their generation, I would say they don't get out and vote a lot. And I asked them today, why is that? And some of them were very honest and transparent with me, saying that some of them felt they vote didn't count. Some of them said they just not interested. And I'm like, well, do you understand what's going on now and how that will affect you and your lineage right now? And so I think that there's some work that even us as an HBCU at LOC need to do with mobilizing them. But even the races that you all just mentioned, what was the voter turnout? What percentage was it? Wasn't I know it was extremely low, 18% or something of that
Something like
nature.
that, yeah.
16%. I think it was 16% or something like that.
So
Across, I think that was, but not just here though. I mean, it's across
everywhere.
I mean, there was low voter turnout across like just even across Tennessee, but across the South, there are other places who have an 11% turnout, 16% turnout, and so that's just not Memphis, and this
Yeah.
side of the South is on along the South because there are things that's being done to disenfranchise people.
Okay. So you guys, have you all figured out the formula to re-engage people, or like is this film hitting on that? How do we
I think that was kind of the goal, right? Because I think when you hear Keedran's story, like, you hear a story of, I thought there wasn't a way, but there
Mhm.
is a way, right? And that doesn't have to be from a standpoint of incarceration. It could be a standpoint of where you live,
Mhm.
what your zip code is, what your neighborhood is, right? And so I think we have to turn that apathetic vote into actual votes because listen, certain things wouldn't happen if your vote didn't count. That's just a fact. Like certain legislation, certain votes wouldn't happen if they didn't count. So we just have to re-engage people, whether it be with film, with podcasting, with other type of mediums, you know, and say, hey, like there is some power with your voice. And so while their voice is not taken away from in the sense that the way it was taken from Keedran, we need to restore their voices to remind them, like, no, you hold power, and we need to activate that.
Yeah.
We need to activate that.
And it's definitely systematic, right? Like that is obvious in what we're seeing. What do you guys think about the moves that our government is making now? Like, and it's quite a few moves that have been affecting.
National, which one you want?
I mean, like, what is going on in 2026? You probably never would have thought this would be happening, or are you not surprised?
It is for me, right? Like, and again, like I was saying, we slated the film to come out on the 4th, May 4th, right? May 5th, the special session was called in, and May 7th, that's when the vote was in the state of Tennessee were redistricting, right?
Wow, the timing of it all.
The timing was like we knew it was going to be timely just from the county's mayor's race, but we had no idea for this part.
They was gonna hit you with the redistricting.
Right. And so now as a filmmaker, I'm going back and saying like, okay, I think there's a little bit more work to be done on this front. Right. And so I don't want to say that I never thought I would see this day or this type of action or whatever, but if you were paying attention, like you knew something was going to happen. Right. One of the things my mom always told me is like, you can't tell the future, but if you pay attention around the things that's happening around you, you won't be far off. Right. You know, the consolidation of power, the consolidation of networks, the rhetoric that you see, you know, on traditional media and non-traditional media like podcasting and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they out there.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I think it's a bad thing, but it's somewhat a good thing, because I think sometimes we took Roe v. Wade for granted. We took our vote for granted. We took civil rights, the Voting Rights Act, for granted. We may have taken it for granted. And so now we have to remind ourselves that, like, listen, our the people who came before us, whose shoulders we stand on, they were fighting for something, right? You know, and so we need to just reactivate that vote and make sure people understand that, like, no, there's something at stake here, and you have something you can do about it.
Wow. Now, during this film process, did either one of you encounter any stories that change your perspective on punishment, accountability, and second chances?
I mean, I know I can speak to that. No, I don't want to hog the mic though. I don't know, Keedran, want to say something?
Go ahead.
Listen, for me, as a person who has always been an advocate for the incarcerated, right? Because what I do know is that, like, as a person of color, you're often seen as a second-class citizen. When I see people who are incarcerated, there are similarities in that regard. So I've always been a person who look for those similarities as opposed to where we're different, right? But you know, listening to Keedran's story when he was just talking about a random Facebook post, commenting on something completely different. He made the comment that he made, like, you know, I got to pay $3,000 before I can get my voting rights back. And the young lady was like, no, you don't. Let me show you something, right? So knowing that Keedran's not the only one, other people are the only one, even when he was out and about, right? Like, other people's like, oh yeah, well, I need to get up on that, right? Like, there's a moment in the film where Keedran is explaining to somebody like, hey, maybe you're not able to get your voting rights back, but you can vote for me, right? So let's educate everybody so that way they can still be effective, even if for some reason they don't have their voting rights back at that moment, right? So, but I think one more thing that kind of stood out for me was just how strategic that restoration drive was, right? Because you go around the city, right? And you know, people registering to vote, this and the other, but each of the places that Keedran pointed out, that he highlighted that we were stopping at, all had a specific platform issue that they were, you know, experts in, right? Education, crime, immigration, right? Like, so it's like, it wasn't just a matter of registering people to vote and getting people access to that restoration. It was also educating the people who came to those sites, like, this is why this is important. This is why education is important. This is why immigration was important. And you'll see in the film, as it relates to immigration, the law enforcement was out.
I bet. They been out. They
They were out,
outside.
right? And we had a situation in the film where it kind of altered, a little bit of the turnout, a little
Oh,
bit based
wow.
on that.
I believe it.
So again, it's like when we say timely, it was very
Mhm.
timely for this film.
Wow.
Most definitely. And then, yeah, again, for me, because just all the things Dominic pointed out that like, I come from the heart of South Memphis, South Parkway and Cal, moved southwest to
Mhm.
Graves Mountain, who we know is P Valley, to Westwood, right? So I've always been around the edges. I've always been around like rough edges. I'm a rough edge, right? So I've always thought that like we deserve second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances because I've
Mhm.
watched others get 17, 18, 19, 20 chances. And so for me, there's this, we have to evolve. And I try to find, and I have this saying where like, I build up black men like Farrakhan. Like I try to find the guys who are the
Mm.
who we consider the smackers, the one that if there's some shooting going on, they the ones doing the shooting. Those are the ones I want to find and say, hey, you have the right energy. Just look at it this way. Let's
Mhm.
just utilize it this way, right?
Mhm.
And so like, and once they do and they realize like, dang, okay, I could have taken this same energy and become probably a millionaire faster because now I don't have to watch for the police. I'm doing something that's positive. I'm doing something with passion, right? And so for me, it's just a testament that like, man, we are resilient, we are brilliant, and we could do whatever we want if we had the proper resources, the basics that we just need. That's it,
Mhm.
right? And so I'm always looking for again that the next person is just willing to like evolve into the next stage.
Do you feel like your voice has been fully restored at this point?
Uh, my judgment is my voice to me was never taken away, right?
Mhm.
To them it was.
Mm.
I have my own like assignment of what I do and how I can do it. And so for me, yeah, I can move masses, right? And so like mm, my voice was never taken away from them because that's my power.
Mhm.
And it's something that struck when Dominique just brought it up. Is like people who hadn't even gone through that felonious, application or through the system, how their voices are taken away. That's their power, right?
Mhm.
And so, and I attribute that to trauma. Like we all coming up through this certain type of trauma where like, now if I keep saying this and I keep saying this and I'm not saying it, and I'm getting the same results there, and I'm gonna be quiet also, right? And so, uh, yeah, to them they probably taking it away, but to me, my voice was never taken because I can't be silenced.
Mhm.
So
I love that. I love that. Just, you sharing your story and knowing that you can help others. I mean, that's so impactful, especially here in Memphis. I know Memphis is like the main character in this film, right?
sure,
Memphis
sure.
is the main character, and we have such grassroots in this city of Memphis
Mhm.
and activism. I want to know from both of you, how did that legacy of grassroots activism show up in the people and organizations featured in the documentary?
Man, I can't lie. It's so many organizations and so many different people, even artists, right, who put their names and stamps on it, right, just to try to move their people. Uh, yeah, it was very, very unique. And and not to take anything away from anyone else, but I truly want to give a shout out to like all of the street orgs that participated, right? So like
Mhm.
what we deal with community unity are those guys, right? So from the Four Corner Hustlers, the GDs, the Vice Lords, the Pyrus, the Crips, like we're dealing with these guys, right? Though, so I want to give a major shout out because they could have said, "No, Jack, I'm doing what I want to do," but the fact that they showed up, with integrity and then got the job done, right? So I want to give a major shout out to them just because, again, that there's a lot of talks around the people who they consider making it dangerous in the community, and here's uh, an example of those same people that you put this face on actually doing the opposite, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that was like for me a major takeaway, and there's just something I want to give credit to those guys for.
I think that's something that was I think I wanted to highlight more in the film, right? And I just wasn't able to figure out what that would look like to pay proper homage because but if you look at the film, you will see like, not only were they engaged, they were knowledgeable and they were registering people to vote. Like you had voter
Mhm.
registration cards at every single site, right? And they was like, "Hey man, come on, let's go and get you signed in. Get you signed in. This and the other. We got some food for you, but before you do that, let's go and get you registered to vote. See what the process is. This and the other. If you don't have those voting rights back, let's talk about the process of getting that back, right?
Mhm.
Because it ain't all all doomsday to where you can't, right? And so,
Mhm.
no, Keedran's right, right? The street orgs play a massive part of the success that day in that drive for sure.
Wow, when you think about the Memphis legacy and even you guys documenting how Memphis was the main character and it's stemming back to our grassroots legacy. I mean, you often hear right now at this point in time, Memphis, Memphis, Memphis. Like Memphis is the target. Memphis is centered for something that we almost feel like we don't even know what it is right now. Why is Memphis under the microscope right now for our government?
That's an excellent question because I've been having this conversation with my friends across the country. It's almost like you living here, you almost get a bit whiplash,
Hmm?
right? Because if it's not XAI, it's the redistricting, or it's the National Guard, or it's ICE, or it's the state trying to take over the school system, or whatever the case may be. It's like everywhere you look, like there is
Everywhere.
something, and all of these are national stories. Like these are not just local stories. Like a lot of people have their eyes on Memphis, right? And I think there is some vulnerability, right? And people like Keedran and other who could probably speak better than I can. There's some vulnerability that people are exposing and are exposed in great deal to where they've penetrated our great city to where they can do these sort of things.
Mhm.
And so um, I think it's important now more than ever for us as storytellers and independent storytellers or filmmakers or podcasters or whatever uh, to document these things
Mhm.
to let people know like listen, this is what's going on the ground floor and you need to pay attention
Mhm.
because just like Dr. Jamal Bryant was saying, like I feel like Memphis is the testing ground for something much bigger, right? And so it's like it may move to Atlanta, it may move to Detroit, it may move to St. Louis, right? So it's like we need to not only document, but also apparently be the first line of defense
Oh yeah.
for everybody else and
Yeah.
let them know like you're not just about to just come in our city and do this.
Yeah. We need to establish the blueprint. Why Memphis, Keedran?
Few things, right? If we check history, we look back at history, you think about the 76 Jobs Conference, right? When we had lost places like International Harvest, right? You're right, like huge industry that looked out the so-called black people, right? Where like we was actually thriving from. And if you move forward and then you think about like 2016 when like we started protesting people like Memphis Tomorrow and the Chamber of Commerce for courting businesses here saying, hey, we have cheap labor. Like, hold up, y'all pimping us out.
Hmm.
Right? And so if you just look at the history of Memphis and how the government succumbed to big business, then you understand it like, man, we have too many billionaires in this city. So they're pimping out the land, the air now and
Mm.
the people, right?
Everything we need.
And so, yeah, we also look at like logistically, Memphis sits center of the United States,
Mhm.
right? And so there's a lot of industry that comes here, turn around, and goes back out,
Mhm.
not just nationally but internationally also,
Mhm.
right? And so, like, yeah, we're you know slim pickings for business, right? And so,
Mhm.
yeah, testing ground. You have one of the most the largest so-called black, communities in the country, right? So it's 65%. We're like the largest, metropolitan city, right? Blackest, but also the poorest, right?
Mm.
So like the whole training ground is, hey, they won't resist. They got to go to work tomorrow. What they going to do? Protest for 2 hours and go home, go to sleep and get up and go to work tomorrow? So they understand the layout and how they kind of laid people out, right? And so there's a lot of things that's coupled in around with like, why? And for me, uh yeah, I see it as again just how Memphis and the so-called leadership has allowed things to happen in Memphis for so long without saying, hey, at some point you have to stop draining us. And so the
Mhm.
fact that they're under tapping into like our water, right? Like I'm talking about our good drinking water is like, okay, now y'all gonna sell everything. Y'all gonna sell the bones of this city until we don't
Bones.
have anything left. And so it's just my again, no facts, just my observation.
Yes.
I've only been doing this thing a little minute.
Right.
Just a few years.
But like even with the ground game that Keedran talks about, it's almost like you're being hit from two sides. There's the structural part that Keedran talked about, but also the perception part where you got, NBA superstars saying stuff
Oh yeah,
which
that
which
too.
perceptually doesn't help either.
The social piece.
Right,
Of
the
it.
social piece of it, the commentary piece of it,
Mhm.
people saying they don't want to. Or the Memphis Safe Task Force got here, right? So again, it's not even just the economic structural part; it's also just the perception part that's also damaging. So it's almost like we're getting hit on two fronts.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of like if you watch the Mac or something, you watch like how how managers would try to like downplay the women so that they could try to build them back.
Correct.
It's almost like let's detach people's feelings and make them feel like Memphis is just so terrible. Even the people inside want to leave, but all the time there's a whole play. Like, yeah, they're trying to get people to move back out towards east and they're trying to come back down into the inner city. So there's this whole shift of things they did 40, 50 years ago. They're like, hey, no, let's go back downtown. Let's not go to the suburb. Let's go back downtown. Let's call it Greenlaw or let's call it South City. Let's just do something different part back down there.
For real.
Y'all was down here from the jump. Why'd you move?
Yeah.
And so
Wow. Wow. Keedran Franklin, Dominic Lawson on the Ena Esco Show here on Magic 807, dropping a true knowledge about what's going on in the city of Memphis and the new documentary, Restored Voices. What do you guys want people to gain from this documentary ultimately?
I let Dominic in this. For me, what I love for them to gain is just information. Information is powerful, and then the will to do something, right? So information is powerful, but wielding it and doing something with it is what gives you power. So, yeah, I just love people to like see the info, take it in, and then do something.
Do something with it.
Right, and not to be lazy, but to add to what Keedran is saying, it's like to know what to do with it, right? Like, like because like again, when we went to those different sites, there was different sites that really keyed in on a certain topic. So maybe for you, when you're watching the film, maybe immigration hits home for you, maybe crime hits home for you, maybe the school system hits home for you, maybe economic policy hits home for you. So honestly, when you watch the film, you feel activated, get the information, and then now you decide, okay, immigration hits home for me. Let me go hit up Latino Memphis. Let me go hit up Liddell Beeman, who talked about the makeup of District 12 and what that looks like and stuff like that. And so I hope that's what people get the information, but also, like he just said, the will to act.
Yes. Now, how can everybody access the documentary?
The documentary is actually on YouTube, right? We have it on YouTube on the Owls Education page. I'm pretty sure we have a link to share with people and stuff like that, digitally and stuff like that. And so, and then obviously we're going to submit it to a few film festivals.
Amen.
And go in that route.
Come on.
But yeah, but also there's parts of it. There's also on social media. So Instagram and Facebook, big portions of it are on social media, on our pages, on Keedran's pages, on my pages, the real Dominic Lawson and stuff like that. So there's a few ways to access it.
Is there a Restored Voices Part 2 in the making?
With everything going on now, right? We're talking literally days after we dropped this doc about what happened. Like I said, May 4th, May 5th, special session, May 7th, the vote. It feels irresponsible not to have some type of follow-up continuation at this point.
And what does that look like?
Well, with that being said, without giving up too many details, I've already kind of started filming a few things.
I know
right?
you have.
Because,
I know you,
but
Dominic.
it's one of those things where it's like, this feels like the type of history that's happening in real time that we learned in history books. It's almost like we're stuck in a sixth grade social studies class, and we're watching it in real time. And I think Keedran kind of said that in the doc as well. Like, we're watching this unfold in real time, and so it's important for this to be documented, right? Documented for the purposes of people to understand what's going on outside of of the city. So maybe we're sending the beacon out to get some help,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like I said, it's a lot going on. It's almost get
Yeah.
whiplash almost every single day. Like every single day it feels like something new.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like something new. Like for
Mhm.
example, Elon just had SpaceX buy XAI.
Yeah.
So now technically SpaceX has a footprint in the city of
Yeah.
Memphis.
Anthropic too, right? Ain't that
Right. They
Anthropic?
think they written out a data center to
Yeah.
Anthropic, right? So again, there's something happening, and so as a filmmaker and as a storyteller, as a podcaster, it's my duty to document what's happening and just let the world interpret, how to move from there, right?
Mhm.
But it feels irresponsible not to have a follow up at this point.
Yeah, all hands on deck right now. I want to thank both of you gentlemen for joining me today. The Executive Director of Community Unity Council, Keedran Franklin. I feel like I'm gonna have you guys back very
Indeed.
soon.
Indeed. Most
Yes.
definitely. Most
And
definitely.
also my award-winning podcaster friend and filmmaker. I'm so glad that you've been able to continue to elevate what you're doing with storytelling, Dominic. I'm so proud of you
I
and the
appreciate
moves that you've been making and really making a difference in your city here in Memphis.
I told him, I said, Dominic, I don't know if you noticed or not, but like when I look back and look into like the Martin Luther King story, and you learn about like people like Bill Withers, what is told the story of very good little word kid,
Yes.
film from film to pictures, and you just saw a little boy playing with the water hydrant, and you get a
Mhm.
story out of it. I'm like,
The real people.
that's vital
Mhm.
because we're losing the essence of like who we are just at our natural state, and the fact that he's doing it is like, man, that like.
Yeah.
If you didn't know now, man, that's powerful. So I want to see it here on film, brother. I appreciate y'all.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate you both saying that. It's the next evolution of the griot. The griot who told the stories of our community because we don't want to lose them,
Mhm.
and so this is happening in real time. So we get to capture that.
Yes, and if you guys need my help with anything going forward, let me know. However I can assist in my own kind of way, let me know. I'll always welcome you all here to share your voice and share your stories as
appreciate that.
well. And would you all like to leave the Ena Esco Show audience with some parting words and how everybody can keep in touch with you and definitely how they can see the doc again?
Oh, sure. You can find me on I'm on a lot of social media, but mainly Facebook right now. Like Keedran Franklin.
Yeah, you on that Facebook.
Well, and Franklin like Benjamin. My parting words is just find what you're passionate about. Find something you're passionate about and just do it. Don't try to perfect it. Don't try to be perfect. Just step out and do it. And from there, put your 10,000 hours of work in, and you'll see what you can do.
10K. Yep.
You can find the doc on YouTube, social media pages, The Real Dominic Lawson, my Facebook page as well, Dominic Lawson. In fact, you can actually see the full film on Facebook. It's only about 22 minutes long. But find on Dominic Lawson, DOMINICLAWSON. As far as parting words, understand the moment that we're in,
Mhm.
but also juxtaposed to understanding that the power that you have to do something about that. Like I understand there's people saying certain things about Memphis and things and other, but you have something you can do about that. So understand what that is, find what that is, and then move forward. And like Keaton said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just move forward with that.
Amen. Make sure you guys check out the Restored Voice documentary with Dominic Lawson and Keedran Franklin. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on the Ena Esco Show.
Thank you so much.